Alright lads, let's find some weird stone and get out of this Sigmar-forsaken city.
Without being initiated into the world of psychedelia, we're not going to find anything in the city of the damned. I've been listening to Josephus Roginius. He's got a great podcast on the subject. He says you won't find anything unless you've got a whole head full of madcap mushrooms.
Oh Yoni mate, that's a conspiracy theory.
He's right, you know. You won't find anything unless you're looking at the world through the proper eyes. And did you know there's rats the size of men with tunnels all over the city, collecting weird stone and slitting men's throats in their sleep?
Oh, it all makes sense. I believe it.
I had to take a little bit of time off from the project while my wife delivered our first child, but I'm back now, so let's get started painting some terrain. Here we start with a wash. This is 50-50 water and a primary red ink. We're going to put this all over anywhere where we want the wattle and daub or the stucco. We're going to avoid the areas where we're going to have the blue stone later because we don't want the red to desaturate the blue-green too much. Next, we're going to grab a heavy magenta wash and go over all the wattle and daub. This is going to be our main color for the building. It goes on really bright, but like all acrylic paints, it'll dry fairly transparent and dull right down. Next, we're going to shade and weather the orange shingles with some fluorescent purple craft paint. We'll go over anywhere where there's damage and we want there to be obvious weathering, and then we'll go back in and reinforce it again with a second pass of the purple craft paint. And we'll quickly move it on to the stonework and the floors. We've got a turquoise, blue-green craft paint. Again, this is pretty heavily diluted, and this is going to give us much needed contrast on the piece. Make sure to get all the floors and any extra items that we've added, any texturing or decorations that we've glued down to the piece. Black Magic Craft has a great video on how to modify and decorate MDF terrain. Now we're going to go back in with some fluorescent orange paint and reinforce the shingles and anywhere that we want to appear as wood. So any beams or window frames or door sills or posts. Once we've finished establishing the wood, we're going to go back to the blue and start weathering down the wattle and daub. We're just going to apply the blue paint in a thin wash and either whip shade or feather out the edges. If you put it on too heavily like I have here, you can just grab a damp brush and wipe off the edges and that'll work just fine. Here we're going to keep weathering it with a little bit of fluorescent pink craft paint. This is thinned right down. We're just adding streaks underneath the roof line, and again it goes on pretty strong, but the great thing about fluorescents is they dry very transparently, so this will dull right down. This is the part where the piece really starts to come together. We go back to the turquoise and start weathering down the wood, so the beams and posts and the window frames. This is pretty thin down, and we just keep going until everything starts to look sufficiently moldy and weathered. Then with the same color, we're going to go in and do the streaks again underneath the roof lines, but these are going to be thinner and longer streaks. This part really helps to pull the whole piece together. Now we're going to add some color variation to the stone and just do some streaking on the bottom portions and anywhere where we think water would collect. I'm also going to add it to the wood beams and the door frames and the window frames, anywhere where I think a little bit of extra water would have gathered and a little bit of rot might look good. To start the interior walls, it's just a slap coat of that bright green ink. Then with some fluorescent green, I highlighted and weathered all of the green areas. So now we've got a fluorescent yellow out, and we're going to use this as a universal highlight. Keep in mind, if you're going to put this under black light, you're not going to be able to hide your crimes. Every little bit of fluorescent paint is going to show, so if you don't feather your edges, it's going to look pretty rough. I didn't know this, but I didn't intend to put it under black light when I started this whole project. The fluorescent yellow is the weakest color under normal conditions, but it's the strongest under the black light conditions, so keep that in mind while you're painting the piece. Now this is universal highlight, so you're going to use it both on the exterior and the interior walls of the piece. Add a few quick streaks with some fluorescent blue on the interior walls, and the piece is just about done. So far, I'm really happy with how the project is turning out. We've still got a long way to go, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've got to finish a couple more minis, dress up the board, finish the rest of the terrain, and we're done. I'll finally be able to reacquaint myself with the game I want so badly to play. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the videos, and I'll see you again soon.